Most importantly today, the Sid and Marty Krofft Productions Company. We have not just me, we have more panelists, and the best way to introduce our next panelist is with this clip.
Not much of a story here, just a bunch of kids cutting it loose.
Then what are you doing here?
Just keeping an eye on things. Welcome to the world in which you were never born.
How did...
Not ready, is he?
Oops, wrong world.
I got one!
Let's get out of here!
Come on, move your kill! Finally, I got one! I've got you now!
Welcome, star of Siege and Screen, David Arquette.
Thank you all for coming out. This is so exciting. Love Comic-Con, love you fans. And we have another wonderful talent.
Yeah, our next guest, writer for many shows such as Family Guy. He created his own shows, which were very successful. My Name is Earl, Raising Hope, The Guest Book. And let's introduce him with this clip here. Do we have a clip of him, his stuff? Yes, let's do it.
My name is Earl. Didn't take Randy long to make friends with the help. It never does. Do good things and good things happen to you. Do bad things and it'll come back to haunt you.
That's deep, Earl. So why don't you stop hogging them Vicodins they gave you? We can all chat about that for a while.
What's next on my crime fighter exercise schedule, HR?
Golly, Randy. Says here you do 10 zillion jumping jacks.
Must be a light day.
Catalina, look!
How did you get in here? Dr. Shrinker shrunk us and we crawled under the door. Unshrink! Unshrinking.
Booyah, Randy!
All right, Sweet Johnny.
Sweet Johnny got his name because he was the sweetest guy anyone knew, but also because he was a stunt man and did some sweet stunts.
You ruined everything, Randy!
I don't ruin things. I make them rock.
Can I have some money for the claw machine?
Oh, Earl.
Please welcome TV screener and prop superfan Garcia.
How's everybody doing? Good to see you. This is a thrill for me. It's my first time at Comic-Con, so if you're gonna come down here, this is the way to do it, I would say. It's been fantastic. I started out as a fan of Sid and Marty Krofft at the very young age of probably 3 and 4 years old when I would race downstairs and watch their shows, and somehow I figured out how to also call this man my friend as well, which is an honor. This is the guy you all came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Marty Krofft.
Thanks for all being here. This is a wild place to come to, but we look forward to it. We take the train down from LA, and then we go back the same day. But anyways, let me just say one thing. People say, how come you're still working? Well, this is the reason. It's real simple. In the 90s, we spent all our money. Because you know what? That's not true. If you retire, never retire. If you do, never watch daytime television. Because if you do, you'll be dead in a month. So anyway, my brother Sid, he's in good shape. He hasn't been here for 2 years. And we have a great partnership. I go to work and he goes to the gym. But he's very creative. And you know, we've been very fortunate to have a great career, and we're still in it. You know, we just had a real hit show, a big hit show at Nickelodeon for kids, Pufnstuf with 20 dogs. So, but they don't live with me. So anyway, so that's it. So my brother wanted to be here, so he is here, but he's not here in person. So he made a video for us, but I looked at it, it lasted an hour. We have to cut this down. So it's a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Marty, for the 60 years that we've been working together, and a special thanks to everybody out there that came to celebrate H.R. Pufnstuf's 50th anniversary. And am I glad and grateful to be here to celebrate it with you. Pufnstuf, of course, was our very first television show. Where we got the idea from? In the 60s and part of the 70s, we had a puppet theater. And in 1968, Coca-Cola came to us and asked us if we would do a show in their pavilion at the San Antonio World's Fair. We came up with an idea, a show called Kaleidoscope. And the main character that ended up being a dragon was called Luther. And NBC in 1968 approached us after we did a big hit for them, The Banana Splits. We built the costumes and created those characters. And so we took Luther, changed his name to H.R. Pufnstuf. A bunch of the characters that were in that show were in the television show too. The Witch and Judy Frog and so on. And the rest was history. I'm sure you all know that this is the 50th year of Comic-Con. We're in good company. I love all of you. Have a great, great day at Comic-Con. And here's Marty.
When you heard my brother just say 60 years together, well, he can't add. I've only been with him 11 days. Right? That's not true. But our partnership has lasted longer than most marriages. And so we're happy that we're still together and still in the action and able to show up at work every day. So, you know, I don't think they showed you. I put together something that isn't an hour. It's only a minute.
I want to thank you for saving my life. Pleased to meet you, sir.
Pufnstuf will do.
You're my pal, and we've got to find a way up this island, the two of us.
Offer Sesame!
Sesame? The name's Lester.
Nobody likes a smart door.
Push your bend when things get rough. H.R. Pufnstuf can't do a little 'cause he can't do enough.
That was just about the beginning. One of the other beginnings, actually, we did something that was our dress rehearsal for Pufnstuf. In 1968, Hanna-Barbera came to me, and they had a show they were going to do for Kellogg's and NBC, but they didn't know how to do it because all they did was animation. And these were live characters called the Banana Splits. So we did the Banana Splits for them, and it wound up being successful. And of course, while we were building the Banana Splits, the head of Kellogg's and NBC came to us and said, do your own show. So that's how Pufnstuf happened. And so anyway, let me tell you, we love coming here, and I just want to tell you these two guys to my right, Greg Garcia, who's a real great pal of mine, and major creative, like done 4 series and they're all hits. So, I don't know, my name is Earl, of course, with Yes Dear was a big one at CBS, and Raising Hope at Fox. That was on Fox?
That was on Fox, yes.
So anyway, so Greg, happy that you're here.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Good. And now, of course, David Arquette. He is really a close friend of mine also, and he's always available for Sid
Honestly, I just come for the train ride.
Yeah, the train ride is a blast.
He came for the coffee on the train. So anyway, so David and Greg, thanks so much for showing up.
You know, I would love to tell the story about how I came to know you, because as a fan, watching his shows as a kid, I loved them. I couldn't get enough of them. And I loved them because they were so much different than anything else I had seen on TV. And I was just drawn to them. And then I moved out to California at a certain point, and I was doing the show Yes Dear, and we had a writer's room, and it was across the hall from a door with a little sign on it that said Sid Marty Krofft Productions with the logo, and I thought, no way. And I just kind of kept an eye on that door, and then I saw somebody going in, and I peeked in, and I saw a slee stack, I saw various little other like trinkets and memorabilia, and it was like looking at a portal into your childhood, and it was just fascinating to me. And I think I caught you once in the hallway and said hello. And then when I did the show,
then you couldn't get rid of me.
Then I couldn't get rid of you. Been trying ever since. You're too quick. And I did the show My Name is Earl, and we thought, well, in the pilot we want them watching TV. And they said, what do you want to be on TV? And I said, well, I want this show to be like something that isn't on TV now. And I was inspired by Sid and Marty Krofft, so let's have them watch in the motel. All they ever watch are Sid and Marty Krofft shows. And I went over and I asked him if we could use it, and he very graciously said yes. And we've been friends ever since.
And you paid for it.
We did pay for it. Yeah, it wasn't free. It wasn't free by any means.
Not for love and for free.
I think we're still paying for it. But I got very lucky that I got to have you as a friend as well. So I lived my fantasy there.
Thanks. So you know they're both fans, but David, I think he was a puppeteer at some point. But David and his wife at that time hosted at the TV Academy in Beverly Hills Pufnstuf's, I think, 30th birthday.
Yeah. So
I've been long way with David, and David is a major talent and a major human being, and I'm glad you're in my life.
Well, me too, Marty.
He's also going to produce our documentary. We've never done a documentary, so then you're going to see what we really did. But you're not going to ever know how many drugs we did. Because if we did as many drugs as you all think we did, we'd be dead today.
Let's just say I can't remember the train ride.
Anyway, it was only 7 in the morning. So let's see where we go. David, you got a story?
I got nothing. No, I'm just such a huge fan of you, and you know, you've inspired so many of us, and just the creative explosion that came out of all the projects that you do. And then one thing that really amazed me by working with them, I worked with them on Sigmund and the Sea Monsters with Drew, and And it was just incredible to see them work. I mean, Marty's just a wealth of information. He knows so much about this business, and he's got these incredible stories. I mean, he just drops these, like, you know, just these bombs all the time. I was like, yeah, just on the train ride up, we got one about Dean Martin in a poker game or some kind of card game that, you know, was wonderful. And it's just always such a thrill. And I've learned so much from him. I love puppets too. My father and grandfather were into puppets. So it's a tight group.
His grandfather was one of my favorites, Charlie Weaver, who was on the Jack Carr. He comes from a great family. In fact, his sister won an Academy Award. What was that for? What was the picture?
I'm not sure. No, boyhood, yeah.
David hasn't, but he's made a lot of money. He loaned me $10 this morning.
Now, I know we're going to take questions at some point, but I have a question that I would like to ask.
Okay.
One of my favorite shows was Wonderbug.
Wow.
And as a kid, I wanted a dune buggy. My parents would not buy me one. But I'm curious as to where the idea came from for Wonderbug.
Well, we actually stole it from Disney.
Perfect.
Herbie the car. No, we never did that. But you know what? Nothing is totally original. You know, there's always something, but we never watched television. And I think the reason, we must have done something right, because you can't kill our shows that we did 40 years ago, and they're still happening. So, you know, we're lucky with what we've done, and we've had great people, and one of the greatest people we have is sitting here on the right, Drew Massey. He's one of the world's great puppeteers, and
We've got crank yankers coming out.
Oh yeah, there's more crank yankers. They just can't stop calling people. I don't know what's with them.
Wait, did you work on Dark Crystal?
No. I'm not bitter about it, but no.
That was good what I did, right? He has plenty of credits. He was a first-class guy.
All right, I have another question.
Let me just say.
Yeah, go ahead.
We made up these little pamphlets that they give them out. So give you a little souvenir. And then we have Funko, is the only company we do business with in merchandising there. I've been there from the beginning when the guy didn't have, you know, Brian Moriarty had no cash. I think he sold it for $350 million, and they've got a great store here, and there's like a line 3 blocks long to buy the stuff. So we have these pop characters, and the Pez, they made some Pez ones of our stuff. So you can go buy it or not, because we probably never see any cash from it. But it's a good thing to have. So anyway,
So my other question was this, because like I mentioned, when I saw your shows, they were like nothing else I had seen on TV, and that's what really, drew me to them. And I'm just wondering, at the time, were you guys conscious of the fact that you were doing something that was so different, or were you just doing what comes naturally to you, and that was what the product ended up being?
You know, when you're doing it, you don't know. But ultimately, whatever we did worked. We did 20 pilots as a small company in our whole career, got 18 of them on the air, and 17 were successful. So our batting average. I'll tell you the truth, when you're going to sell a show now, nobody cares. They want to know, what did you do for me today?
Yeah.
But that's okay.
And what were the 2 that didn't go?
I forgot.
Okay, good.
What are you kidding?
I was in them both.
Oh, man.
I wish I only had 2 that didn't go.
Oh, good. We got to go by time, because they throw you out of here. So if anybody wants to say hello do it in the hallway. They get pissed off. And there is a surprise. Always have to have a surprise. Yeah. Where's the mic? Who
There's a
would like
mic right
that?
there. I don't know if anybody has any questions. If you want to step up. Yeah, there you go. This is the fun part.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and
You gotta lower the mic, we gotta hear you.
okay. Good afternoon, gentlemen, and again, congratulations on 50 years of Pufnstuf. However, I'm Daria from the Bugaloos page on Facebook. So, and next year is the 50th anniversary of the Bugaloos. So, of course, we want to know what merchandise we might be looking forward to because we want you to take our money. So, we want Funko Pop dolls too, and hopefully a reissue of the album maybe, and the DVD.
There's stuff coming, and we've had DVD. I mean, you can find our stuff, but with the stuff we're doing now, we're doing merchandise.
Right.
You can't make these merchandise deals if you're streaming, because nobody's watching. You know, they're putting up billions of dollars, and they're losing their tail. But if you're on even Nickelodeon, we were doing 1,300,000 kids a day. So then you can merchandise. These companies don't want to do it. But the business has changed. We owned everything we did up until a certain point in the 90s when they decided to let the networks and the studios own everything. So they took care of the independents, put them all out of business. We're the only independent with a library. There's only two that never sold their company. One is a flea and one is an elephant. Guess who the flea is? And the elephant's Disney. So we're still hanging in there. You know, my father always said never give up. Because if you give up on Tuesday, there is no Wednesday. And Wednesday could have been the day. So never give up.
All four of the Bugaloos are in touch and they really want a reunion, so we're hoping for when.
Well, the Bugaloos are coming back.
Yeah!
Growing up in the late 60s as an 8, 9-year-old kid, I loved the Banana Splits and I watched them every day. And now the new Banana Splits movie coming out is a horror movie. Do you think it would have worked back then? I mean, thinking about it as a kid.
Say again.
Yeah, what's that? Growing up in the late 60s, an 8 and 9-year-old kid, I would watch Banana Splits. Big fan of it. And now the new movie coming out is a horror movie. So do you think it would have worked back then?
Yes, a horror movie. Yeah. So what are you asking? Which will work?
I'm just wondering whether back then, do you think the Banana Splits would ever become a horror movie? Or?
Well, let me tell you, I don't know what they're doing, even though I'm involved, not in the movie. But it's probably a stretch, okay? But you know, the Banana Splits are loved by everybody. I get so many, you know, people talking about the Banana Splits. But I think they're smart at Warner's. They're doing a horror movie, and they're going to do a kids show also of the same property. And by the way, the kids who watch shows, they don't know when you made them. They either like them or not. It goes by the characters. If you have great characters and great stories, you're in good shape. So that's what we try to do.
Right. I'm actually quite glad to see a lot of the stuff come back. When I was a small child, I was watching the public access channels, and in Saturday mornings they would literally show all of your shows come into that. However, I know that Segment of the Sea Monsters has come back. Pufnstuf has premiered on Maya with Earl. But I am wondering about one of your most unique, shall we say, shows. Is Pink Lady and Jeff ever going to come back?
That was the one I didn't want to mention. Pink Lady was the biggest music act in Japan, okay? I was told by the head of NBC that they spoke English. They got here, they didn't speak a word, okay? So we had to pull that together. And at the time, Americans did not want to deal with foreigners because that's when Iran had the hostages from America. So it was not a good time to put that on. But we were also on Pink Lady, we were opposite Dukes of Hazzard. We had no chance.
minutes.
Well, that's it.
Keep kicking though, Marty. Keep
Thanks.
kicking.
Marty, I'm currently developing a musical review of the music of Charles Fox, and he wrote several of the songs, all of the songs from the movie, from the feature film for Pufnstuf, but a lot of the theme songs as well. Can you just talk a little bit about your memories of working with Charlie, or about music, how you use music in your shows in general?
So I didn't hear the question. I heard Charlie Fox.
Just about what it was like working with the composers on your shows,
Oh,
how
that
you
was
use
great.
music in your...
We worked with some great composers. Charlie Fox is in the Hall of Fame. He wrote a small song called Killing Me Softly. So this guy he's written, themes for Happy Days and 100 movies. And, so we had, Sammy Kahn, Jimmy Van Heusen. We had just, they wrote for Sinatra. We
We're
always
strong believers that movie would make an amazing Broadway musical, so...
Well, but, we live long enough, we'll do it.
Just want to say thank you very much for entertaining me on.
Put your mic down so I can...
Sorry. Thank you for all the entertainment that you provided for my Saturday mornings when I was a kid. But one of the strangest shows, I think, that I've ever seen is Lidsville. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about who came up with that idea and why hats, why not shoes?
Well, my brother came up with that.
Yeah.
My brother's the land of hats. My brother used to run 9 miles a day at the beach, and he'd always wear these different hats. So he comes home one day, calls me up and says, I have a great idea to do a show with hats. So he got Charles Nelson Riley to play Hoodoo, and actually we had a development at DreamWorks to do an animated version, which didn't happen because they kind of traded ownership. And so Lidsville is one of our favorite shows. By the way, can you pump up the sound on this mic?
Did we ever find out who stole Freddie the flute?
Well, it wasn't me. I was accused of rigging that. But it was brought back to KTLA, where we were doing Donnie and Marie at the time. That was our show. That was the first primetime show we did. And that was a #1 show on Friday night at ABC. And so, actually that show, if you know the names, the 3 guys that bought that from us were Fred Silverman, Michael Eisner, and Bob Iger. You know who they are. I can't get them on the phone now. Only kidding. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Laura, and I want to say I am a huge fan. My parents were huge fans, and so they showed me all the shows growing up. So I watched HR Pufnstuf, Lidsville, Bugaloose was one of my favorites. And I just want to say thank you. You inspired me so much that now I write for a kids' YouTube series. And I want to say thank you for inspiring me. Thank you so much. And my question to you is, for aspiring writers, do you have recommendations, or what do you look for in writers for your team?
Well, I only have one recommendation.
Yeah.
Change industry.
but the Tuesday and Wednesday thing.
No, you just keep going. You know what? Just don't give up. Keep writing. People don't read that much in our business. So you gotta just have patience.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you're young, so keep it going.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
When I was hi Marty. Like everybody else, I want to thank you for being here. I think it's just wonderful that you're able to come out and be with us. When I was 9 and my sister was 5, when we started watching HR Pufnstuf, my sister immediately fell in love with Jack Wilde. But I watched that show for Billy Hayes. I laughed like a little maniac at everything that she did, and I just think she was a tremendous, tremendous talent. And I just wanted to ask you, how much of that character was the way the character was written, and how much of it was Billy making it her own?
Well, Margaret Hamilton, who was the witch in Wizard of Oz, worked on Sigmund with us and said to me, Witchy Pooh, nobody is as good as her. And the whole world is a witch. And you know what? She brought herself into that. She played Mammy Yoakum in Little Abner on Broadway and got the Tony. So she brought most of that there. But of course we had one guy that was incredible, Cy Rose, who did major half-hour shows, who was the writer, rewriter, and he knew how to punch it up and make it funny, add to it. But she was, you know, she was funny.
Well, thank you very much.
Say, my name is Jim. I just want to say thank you for all the good work that you and Sid have done over the years. Of the shows that you made that I watched in Rochester, New York in the 70s, Land of the Lost caught my imagination the most. And I just wanted to ask you, tell us about how you came up with the idea. And there's just some stories about working with the actors and with the idea of the show. Because it's just like the whole idea, I spent my childhood scared, like, are they going to get home? You know, and like, just tell us maybe about writing the show, how you came up with it.
Well, Land of the Lost, you know, that was a hard show to do. There were no dinosaurs at the time on television, and the technology was bad. So we found the best people to do it at the time, and concerned that because the animation of the dinosaurs was a little bit prehistoric. That's a pun. But it worked. And because it worked because of one reason, two reasons. The sleeve stacks and the dinosaurs had personalities, but it had heart, and the family was important there. When the movie was done recently, it was a disaster. It was done, you know, I hate to, Will Ferrell, you're not here, are you? Okay. They treated it like it was a Saturday Night Live sketch. So the movie cost $220 million, and we grossed $11. So everybody at Universal got fired for doing it. So anyway, but Land of the Lost is still alive. Even we're going to do it again the right way, and you know, we just keep going. Thanks.
Well, we'd very look forward to it.
I'm curious about Electro Woman and Dyna Girl. There were not a lot of female superheroes in the media at that time. What did you draw on for working on them?
Well, you know, we got it picked up, so we were able to do it. But you know, recently we wanted to make a movie of it. And this is before Wonder Woman, because they were developing that forever at Warner's. But nobody wanted women superheroes. But soon as something works in our town, it's follow the leader. They'll do 9 of them afterwards. So you have to wait until something happens. So look, all our stuff is alive. You can't do it all at once, but we have some good plans. Thanks.
Thank you.
Or pull them both.
Hi, Marty.
Yes.
My name is Tina, and I'm a librarian, and you mentioned that you have a library of your collection, maybe library archive. Is that something that can be toured or visited?
Can it be toured? If you have an idea, I'll take it. We need the cash. No, we can do tours. We started them live, so we know about touring. But the library, I don't know how, yeah, that's something to think about. No one has ever asked that question. So don't try it again.
Okay. Thank you.
So now, David, do you have anything? You want to ask me anything?
Yeah. When I was watching, it was the Krofft Superstars, and it was like a combination of a lot of the different shows. How did that come about?
Let's see. Well, they all come about selling it to the network. So sometimes my brother and myself go in a room to sell a show, and we didn't know what we were selling. So we come out to the lobby and say, they just bought it. What the hell did they buy? So that has happened a few times. So now, let's see.
Well, I have a goofy question for you, if you don't mind one goofy question. But you know, you haven't shied away from politics with DC Follies, one of your shows, and I was thinking on the train ride up here, if you could have one of your puppets run for president, who would it be?
Putin.
Putin?
Putin. That's how bad things are.
Well, what about the mayor?
Which time is that? How about what?
What about the mayor?
Oh, you mean Pufnstuf?
Yeah, the birthday boy.
He's not interested.
No?
Yeah, sure. We should ask him.
So anyway, so let's see. We got time for one or two more questions. Anybody want to do it?
Oh, here we go.
So,
Oh, and we've got a surprise!
Oh, yeah.
We have to sing him happy birthday.
We're gonna sing happy birthday. What do you say, folks? Ready?
For me?
Happy birthday
To you.
Oh, boy.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
Happy birthday, dear Pufnstuf.
Well.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here after 50 years and Comic-Con's still going. We're all still kicking. It's a wonderful day. Thanks, y'all. Thank you.
So we might have the Astor Catch an 8 o'clock train, but in the lobby there, if you want to, some of you want a picture with them, I'll leave them out there. But the bad news is it's $1 a head.
That seems fair.
So Puff,
Yeah.
how do you like being here?
Oh, I like it. It's nice and roomy. Of course, I've been talking to things all day and none of them talk back. It's real weird. It's nothing like where I come from. Well, where I come from, this projector here would have a face on it and it'd say, "Hi there, Mayor." And I'd say, "Be sure to vote for me." All I need is a plurality. I keep getting voted in after 50 years. Can you believe it? I'm my own political dynasty.
So, you know, one thing we're getting, finally, well, last year we got an Emmy, and we didn't have to win it because we got it for Lifetime Achievement. But this year, we're getting the star on Hollywood Boulevard. I'll tell you real quickly, they offered us the star in 1980, and I asked Johnny Grant, you know, how much is it? And he said $500. I said, are you kidding? I'm not going to pay $500 for a star on Hollywood Boulevard.
And how much is it now?
Stars that are on the street. So anyway, we're doing it this year, and Funko's the sponsor, and now it costs $40,000.
Oh my.
I would never pay for that. So anyway, so that's that.
And it's going to be right in front of the Funko store, right?
Huh?
It's going to
be at the front door of the Funko store.
Right by the
It's going to be in front of the door. The Funko store is an acre. The size of it's an acre on Hollywood Boulevard, next to the Pantages Theater. So
That's more toys than any one person needs. I dare y'all to buy them. Anyhow, I guess it's time to wrap up. So, thanks for coming, everyone. Everybody else want to say anything before we go?
They're giving us the goodbye sign.
They are. They're kicking us out. We are no longer welcome.
You guys, thanks for hanging in with us for all these years. You can't do it without the fans, ever. We probably have 40 million fans out there, and I'm looking for a way to collect $1 from each of them. So far, it hasn't happened.
He'll do it too. He's wily that way.
Have a great day.
Top 5